guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is all about a young guy. He is 25 years old, and he shares his story as a warning to guys out there, particularly young guys that maybe are a bit on the lonely side, to beware of getting suckered into these online type of relationships with these girls, particularly girls from other parts of the world, to ultimately try to bleed guys dry of money. Because what happens here, as you're going to see, is he starts talking to some girl on some sort of chat app. And next thing you know, they start talking every single day and so on and so forth. And then they entered into a relationship. Now, how that's supposed to work, given the fact that you never meet the girl, I don't get. But okay. But obviously these girls from other parts of the world, poor countries, prey on guys that are very naive, very lonely, probably have depression issues. Because obviously, if they had something going on with their lives at the time, they wouldn't be on the chat apps talking to them, right? And so many guys end up blowing their money. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through his whole story here. It's a little long, but it's a good one. So that way, any of you guys that watch this, and I'm going to assume that most of the guys that watch this wouldn't happen to, but you never know. So this way then you can prepare yourself and to show you what's out there and just be careful and not make these mistakes that this guy made. And I respect the fact that he had the guts to share this story, because obviously he's going to get some heat in the comment section. That's a guaranteed. But he learned he wants to help other guys out, and I respect that. So it starts off, he says, "Greetings, SSM. I decided to share my story with you in hopes that one person out there can avoid the same mistakes that I made. I've written this story multiple times as I don't know exactly how to tell it. The main advice I can say for anyone out there is online relationships are not real and probably will never work out. Have some self-respect and avoid them, and do not take a chance getting into one." Exactly. But, again, what state of mind and where was he emotionally when this first began? You're going to see here, and it will kind of explain and connect the dots why this happened in the first place. I will try to keep this story brief and to the point. Essentially, in 2017, I met a woman from the Philippines. I was 25 years old at the time, from Canada, and she was 23. I was suffering major depression and a very bad spot in my life. Right there, that is key. He was unhappy. He was lonely. So he was seeking out talking to people through his phone and his app. And these types obviously understand that and know that, so they're going after guys like that. I was seeking someone to talk with and spend time with, specifically a female. Growing up, I never had the best of luck dating or with women. There's another issue. I was your beta male orbiter who was always chasing and never found someone to be with. I had some stomach fat, but I'm not obese. However, I've never been going into the gym, even though I played sports growing up and enjoyed the outdoors. Hockey, soccer, hunting, hiking, swimming. I was active though. I never was able to keep the weight down. Well, bro, this is a perfect time, if you haven't already, to join a gym, maybe hire a trainer, and to teach you some things so you can then get into being the kind of shape that you want to be. And of course, changing your diet to eating very clean, healthy food 90% of the time. You can do it. We met on a chat app and started talking at first every other day. Quickly it became communicating every day within about 1.5 weeks. Around 1 month, maybe 1.5 months, we got into an exclusive relationship. Dude, you never met the girl. She's some chick you're talking to on an app from the other side of the world. And you're doing an exclusive relationship? Come on here. And come on to anybody else that's watching this that would do the same thing. I get that you're lonely. I get that you're depressed. I get that you're bad with women, all these things. But you gotta take the emotion out of it and look at the situation like that logically, okay? And believe me, I know other people that have done things like this where they've been contacted by women from other sides of the world, particularly poorer countries, and they hope they can rope in American men. They often talk to many guys at the same time in hopes they start giving them donations and money to live, okay? And so they can have multiple guys sending them money, PayPal, Venmo, whatever, however they do it, and gifts and things to live on, and they live like queens. She told me she never had much luck with guys or having a relationship. She was a basic normal girl from a lower class family. I thought because of this we would have a chance of being real. When we first got involved, I researched romance scams specifically from the Philippines. I thought I had some good knowledge to protect myself. Well, I'm glad you had the good knowledge to research this, but unfortunately your emotions took over from your logic. She was working at the time when we first got together. I was not. She accepted me and supported me. And when he says supported, he means like being there for him. She wasn't supporting him with money. Oh, no, no. It doesn't go that way. The way it goes is the American men or men from first world countries are supporting them. She helped build me up and helped me get over my depression. She helped me feel good again for the first time in years, and she gave me hope again. I eventually slowly got myself back to work, bouncing between companies. I worked in the oil and gas industry. Now, there were many red flags, but I dismissed them as I was happy having her in myself, having someone who accepted me and spending time with me. She wasn't spending time with you. She was spending time talking to you on that app, but you gotta understand is it's the extreme likelihood at that moment or down the road that she's talking to 2, 3, 4, 5 other dudes and eventually working the scam. And I know he knows this, but I'm just pointing this out. Small things, miscommunications, and cultural differences. Hang on. Now, there were many red flags, blah, blah, blah. There were small miscommunications and cultural differences mainly. The time difference between us was around 14 hours. With us both working, we never got to spend much time together. As a result, around the 1-year mark, I asked her to stop working and stay home. I wanted her to support me and be available and spend time with me. I was making good money, so it wasn't a huge issue for me. So what he means is he doesn't want her to work so she can be there at his beck and call to talk to him through these apps. And therefore, he didn't want her to work, so he would start sending her money to stay home. And she knows this. 1 year of his life, he dedicated talking to this girl from the other side of the world. When he could have, if indeed he wanted to meet a woman, that was his thing, he could have worked on his social skills and done things to improve himself to get a actual real human being in front of him, a girl that he can actually go out with and talk to and hook up with and all that. But meanwhile, he's talking to the girl because she made him feel wanted and loved and cared for and respected and all that. They're good. I could earn her monthly salary in 1 or 2 days working. I started giving her money. She stayed home and with me. During our time together, I was paying off debts and trying to save for us to meet each other while supporting her financially. I'm sure everyone wants to know how much money, around $200 Canadian, was the average amount monthly I was providing for her. Now, I'm gonna guess if he's working the oil and gas industry, he's making decent money from what I've heard, depending on what they do. So $200 a month Canadian probably isn't like a phenomenal amount of money, but that's still your money. And you're gonna see, guys, it doesn't stop there. The numbers get higher. Fast forward, I finally had the money saved up and had everything prepared for us to meet. This was right about before COVID lockdown started and went into effect. March 2020, we missed our chance to meet. Just over 2 years together talking, calling, video chatting, sending videos and pictures with each other, finally ready to take our chance and close the distance, and COVID ruined our plans. 2 years now. 2 years talking to this girl and sending her $200 a month Canadian. She doesn't have to work. All she has to do is talk to this dude and pay attention to him. Meanwhile, like I said, she probably has other guys sending her money. And remember, Philippines is obviously a poor country, so our money, American money, Canadian money, that's going to go far there. We decided we will wait and hope for the best. I continued supporting her financially at this time as the oil and gas sector was struggling and work was scarce. I ended up sitting for a while and spending a lot of my savings just to survive. So he was out of work, but still sending her money. During that summer of 2020, we had some major issues happening between us. Oh, imagine that. Things were very rocky and untruthful. Dude, it was untruthful from the start. The only one probably being truthful was you. I was about ready to give up and walk away. She convinced me to stick around with the threat of ending her life if she claimed to be depressed, and if I left, she couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah, so you stuck around and kept sending her money every month. She begged me to give her a chance and stick it out. I felt guilted into it and gave her that chance. This was the worst mistake I made choosing to stay when I was prepared to leave. Always trust your instincts. Yes. Unfortunately, you didn't trust your instincts in the beginning before all this happened. By the way, it was a miracle we made it this long because there was many issues that constantly happened. Mostly with her family coming between us and me always feeling neglected, underappreciated, and not valued for all my support and help I was providing for her and her family. So now he's not only providing for her, he's also providing for her family. That obviously is part of the con, to that way that they, not only is she taken care of, but she can also, the family is taken care of. Until the con runs its course, and this young girl, no doubt pretty, will move on to some other dude, but always has other guys doing this. In September 2020, I got very lucky and got a really awesome job. It paid high wages and turned out to be the best company and best opportunity I had since in my early 20s. I truly was happy and finally felt I belonged somewhere work-wise. I was motivated and determined to close the distance and meet her after almost 3 years together long distance. 3 years of this dude's life of talking to this girl in a so-called relationship, but he's never met her, kissed her, hooked up with her, nothing. 3 years almost he's been sending money to her and her family. You see how easy this scam is for these pretty young girls, for these guys that are lonely and have bad, are obviously not so good with women, and have some money to spend. Well, whether they have money to spend or not. And she could, again, imagine getting money every month from 4 or 5 different dudes around the world. Christmas 2020, I spoiled her and I bought her an expensive kitten, an American short-haired breed in the Philippines. In the Philippines, this cat and all the items go with the cost of $750 US. You bought her a kitten? I guarantee there's plenty of stray cats all over the Philippines. I'm sure there's probably, I'm hoping, some animal shelters with a fraction of that cost. You can get her a nice cat that needs a nice home. And I wouldn't trust her to raise a cat. She'd probably take the money and, let the kitty go. And I'm a cat lover, so don't mess with freaking cats. She was depressed and still struggling, feeling lost and upset in life. I wanted to give her some hope and something to take care of while we were preparing to meet. I also bought her a $1,000 gaming laptop because I just bought my first one ever and wanted her to join me rather than always watching Netflix and our other communicating that we did daily. Now $1,000 on a laptop. You see, guys? This is racking up. The money's racking up here. Keep in mind, she never had a computer or laptop in her entire life. Yeah, I call bullshit on that. I spent around $2,000 Canadian on her that Christmas, the most money I ever spent on her in one time. Before that, the most that I ever spent was $500 for her birthday. The year before, I bought her the same smartphone as me. Anyway, I worked hard all fall and winter. I dug myself out of debt. I saved up a ton of money. I was finally ready and prepared to meet and close the distance again. I was ready to take the chance because COVID restrictions had changed some countries and were semi-open and some traveling was happening. February 2021, I left my company and my job. I put everything on the line for her. What does this sound like, guys? This sounds like a stupid-ass romantic comedy. The guy gives up everything for the girl on the other side of the world, the poor girl, and he sends her all this money. He's going to save her and put everything on the line for love. Another bullshit movie from the Hallmark Channel, the Lifetime movies or whatever they call them, a Disney movie. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And this is what happens when these guys are raised by watching these movies and learn the hard way. She got cold feet after convincing me to spend $3,500 Canadian on 2 plane tickets for us to meet, non-refundable. Imagine, so she's all cool talking to you and having her in her life so long as you stay put in Canada and you keep sending the money to her every month and buying her laptops and phones and kittens and all these other things, which probably she then just cashes in to support her family. But the second you want to meet, it's like, oh, something's up, never mind. $3,500 in tickets, dude. And I know he knows this, okay? I again respect that he sent this email, but, I'm going to react to this as you can probably imagine. For the next 2 months, I had to convince her to take a chance and not be scared about traveling. She claimed she was ready in May. I rebooked the trip, this time to a new country because of COVID, the rules are always changing. By the way, I spent hundreds of hours literally studying, as I have never traveled, to be prepared and learn and to be up to date on current restrictions. She was not taking out our second trip seriously. I started to feel like she was getting cold feet again and not show up. I warned her and ended up canceling the second trip. This was after I had to sit on hold to book this trip for 2 days because I was having issues with the travel company that I booked for my credits. I had to pay extra taxes on the flights, and after we canceled her ticket, I lost $500 Canadian value. You would think this guy would start to learn at this point, but no, this continues. I then spent the next month chasing her again, trying to convince her to meet me while we had the chance. Chasing her. You don't chase. She is demonstrating through her actions that she doesn't want to meet you, that you're only good as long as you just talk and keep sending her money to her and her family. But this guy learns the hard way. Not to waste all my efforts and all our time together. She was distant herself from me and being very cold. I admit I was furious and blaming her for all the money wasted and all the time wasted thus far. Well, it is her fault because she was obviously conning you, and playing on your emotions and all that. But it was also your fault too. It was also your fault for not knowing anybody. You weren't a kid. You were a grown-ass man. And I'm sure you had some people in your life you might have told this to, and they probably say, whoa, don't do that, man. I'm being honest. Because, guys, accountability is here. Women, they try to get away from accountability all the time. But men, we got to be accountable for our actions. And this guy knows this. I've been sitting around for nearly 4 months, not working, chasing her, spending all my saving on bills when we were supposed to be together in another country. I was able to convince her to go again a third time to a new country, a country I actually wanted to go to. This is like Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football, like the old cartoon. Some of you guys will get that joke where Lucy would hold the football for Charlie Brown to run over and kick the ball. And every single time Charlie Brown would run over and do that kick, she'd move the ball and he'd slip and fall on his ass. That's what this is like. The girl is Lucy. Every time this guy gets ready to do this, to book the flight or reschedule it and cost more money, she takes away the freaking football. Just like this. I prepared again the research. I booked the flights. I paid the extra taxes and costs of new tickets. I had to buy an extra 2 tickets for myself to get where we were going, plus extra much on her ticket from the value lost. All in all, another 2,000 or so Canadian. I should have kept a calculator here to start calculating all this money that he's putting into this girl. She once again disappeared on me, neglected me, and got cold feet. Here we go with Lucy and the football. I was going to go on my own, and I wish I had now because I won't get any more chances to travel, and I'll let money wasted for absolutely nothing. I continued keeping in touch, though. I dropped the financial help down to only $100 per month in June, enough for her internet bill and cat food. You're still giving her money after all this bullshit she's putting you through, and you're still giving her money. And I don't care if you reduced her monthly allowance to $100, you're still giving $100 of your money. Around July, she admitted she was chatting with other men online from a game she was playing with and flirting. Imagine that. She's done. She's milked you for everything it's worth. The monthly amount has dropped down, so now she's going to tell you that she's talking to other dudes. This is probably one of the very few real things that she's being honest with. She claimed to send her pictures to them, and after she learned they only wanted you-know-what from her, she cut them off and came back. At this time, she was ignoring me for days at a time, and the only answer she had for me was she was feeling guilty for what happened and wasting our chance. She didn't feel guilty. She's trying to rope you in for more money. But while I was trying to connect with her and get her attention, she was flirting with other men and ignoring me for days at a time. Right, because it had run its course. You stopped giving her as much money, and so she needs to find new prospects to get new income streams to come in and continue to support her and her family. Essentially, the chance for travel and meeting is gone. I wasted all my savings. I sat around chasing her for 6 months to meet me. I have $10,000 in debt, completely useless debt. On top of spending $8,000 for needs and bills during this 6 months. Almost $20,000 wasted, 3.5 years wasted. And guess what? I was still in contact thinking we could try to plan. I can't read this right. We could plan to try in December before the flight credits expired. $20,500. or whatever. 3.5 years of his life wasted on this girl. Some people have to learn the hard way. Some people have to go through all this shit to finally see things. And, you know, I mean, I'm sorry this happened to this guy, but, you know, he's guilty for just falling for this scam. I mean, it is partially her fault. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. She's a piece of crap. We can all agree on that. But this guy also was foolish. And he wasn't a kid. He was a guy in his mid-20s. He should have known better. But I respect that he's sharing his story, but there are guys out there that are this desperate and lonely, and they have to learn the hard way. It's really sad. She has ghosted me for 5 days. After everything that happened, before she ghosted me, she was agreeing we should try meeting in December. Dude, she is never going to meet you. Ever. Get that out of your skull. It's never, ever going to happen. She's conning you to get you to keep shelling out money. That's what, and keeping you hopeful. Sorry for the messy read. I wasn't sure how to explain what happened, but this is the best I can do. Well, it was pretty good storytelling. Online relationships are not real. If you cannot physically be with the person, don't waste your time. I thought I had someone real who was not westernized or part of modern society. Turned out I was wrong. I was romance scammed. Lost 3.5 years of my life, lost a really good job, lost $20,000, not including how much time I spent on her during those 3 years. Please learn from my mistake. Don't get involved with online relationships. Exactly. And this guy learned the hard way. Absolutely. And his time, his money, his self-respect, all that. So guys, learn from this guy's story. So if you ever have get in a situation where you're on Instagram or Facebook or I don't know what the hell it is, and somebody starts talking to you from another part of the world or just wherever, because you never know where they're really from, cut it off. You don't need that. Do not fall for it. You want women, you want to date women, do it in real time, real life. Okay, actually ones you can actually meet if that's what you want. But just be careful. But you can see this scam that's done on desperate, lonely guys, okay? And, you know, I would recommend to this guy, whatever app you talk to her on, disable it right now. If you haven't done it already, disable it right now. You don't need to have your final thing you got to say to her or something like that. No, done, because she's preying on your emotions, and that will then get you to then go back to the same thing. I don't want this to happen to you anymore. So switch it off and never go back, ever. And don't let this happen again. But if obviously you wrote this not too long ago, work hard to get back the good job that you had. Pay off this debt as fast as you can, because this debt you have, no doubt, is racking up interest. Okay? And use this as a very tough learning experience. But start working on yourself. Work hard to get that good job back, or a job comparable to that back. And don't ever make this mistake again. And if you obviously are lonely and unhappy, I recommend you join a gym. Start working, hire a trainer, start getting in good shape. If you don't know much about diet and nutrition, talk to maybe a registered dietitian or somebody along those lines. Again, this is a disclaimer. This is entertainment. Remember that, but I want you to talk to professionals and help you out to get you in good physical shape, because you'll feel a lot better. It's good to be healthy. And you actually want to meet women, real live women. Start working on your social skills if you're shy and all that. You know, just start going out wherever you go. Talk to people. Practice talking to people. Talk to women that you're not even attracted to. Old ladies at the grocery store, at the checkout counter, or the drugstore, wherever the hell it is, and get comfortable talking to people. And then everybody. And then eventually start talking to women that you are a little attracted to when you're out in places like restaurants, bars, I don't care, anywhere. And get so good at it that when you start meeting ones you actually like, it's not so difficult for you, you know, and because you don't want to go down this route ever again. And it is what it is. You can't change the past, but you can certainly learn from it. But I thank you for sending this story. I respect you for doing it. This will definitely help out some guys. Guys, try not to be too hard on the guy here in the comments section, because he did, you know, take this leap by sharing his story here. But learn from it. So anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And also, guys, be sure to say you got any great stories to share with me, things you've overcome, things you learned the hard way, whatever. Email me. Make sure it's well written, something I can easily read and go through, because sometimes guys will write me and they'll have like everything all run together. It's just too much. Okay, I don't have time to go through and correct everything and change the spelling and make it a good type of story. I don't have time for that. So write it well, and if it's good, it works out, I'll definitely share it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.